whatever your operational excellence, lean, continuous improvement system, your factories, they need only one management system. That is super important to keep in mind. Hello, I'm Tom. Welcome to my channel where we make operational excellence practical for you. And in this video, we're going to go over that absolute need for sites, factories, to have just one management system. And especially when we're talking TPM type of programs, you will hear pillars, we'll be discussing them, work streams, you will hear different groups. Maybe you have a planning excellence, an operational excellence, a supply chain excellence, an office excellence as sort of different programs, whatever the systems that you use, including, by the way, traditional quality management systems and then your safety management systems. Those management systems, they all need to blend together for one factory. One site, one factory, one site management team should have just one agenda, which has one set of improvement projects, of KPIs going in and out of it, of a strategic direction, stuff like that. Now, how should we then look at it as a general one management principle? When we think about performance, right? So we have standards everywhere where we do continuous improvement, lean, Kaizen, TPM, what have you. And this is a performance standard. So that basically means that we expect a certain kind of performance, best proven performance. You can say when we have standard inputs into a process, we expect a standard outcome. These are those. Yes, we manage the inputs as well, absolutely, but this is more about, okay, what do we expect? Now, when we're running our processes, and this is how fast we are, how expensive we are, how many defects we have, how many safety issues we have, how many safety reports we have, so all kinds of outcomes, the concept stays the same. We sort of have something happen, and then we basically need to make sort of three different types of choices, right? There's three systems that we're gonna use based on those standards. The first one is, so what if performance goes down? We need to get it back up again. Problem solving, but this whole thing is the performance control. Then what you also have is some performance levels, some KPIs, right? You would like to improve. We're always improving, continuous improvement, but if your program improves everything there is within the factory, you are setting up your colleagues to fail, right? So you don't do that. You focus, you prioritize. You make a roadmap, a site master plan, a improvement plan, whatever is your way, a budget to set your improvement targets. You pick a number of KPIs and you say, look, we want to have them improve. And so we've got performance control with problem solving. We've got performance improvement. And as I said, don't do this for all of your KPIs. Don't do this for every type of performance you have. Maybe you want to focus specifically on burn incidents, safety KPI, and on time lost waiting for planning stuff, previous products not being ready on time. So some specific productivity thing. Those you want to improve, the rest you just want to keep. So that's sort of the choice, right? Are we going to go to the higher level or maintain that status quo? We're always going to be controlling the performance as well as we can, right? And as soon as we have improved it, that same performance control system will work at the higher level. But we do need to make those choices. Where do we see the opportunities? So what have we done? How do we analyze our systems? Where do we see opportunities to make a step change in our performance levels? And there we're going to plan those improvements. Now, those three things, they are in the cycles of excellence. So the strategy part, that is basically that choice, right? If you follow the cycle of strategy, what you will see is that we spend the first part of it checking what we did, defining where we can improve, and then really deploying, planning out which specific improvements we're going to do and sort of when we're going to do them, right? You make really a plan for what we're going to do. Then you need to manage also how you improve. So the cycle of improve, make sure that you actually get the teams together, the resources, really understand your processes, propose your improvements, implement your improvements, sustain them, right? Check and sustain. And any standard that we have, the work itself, the big black arrow, we need to perform also this performance control, right? So we're going to make sure we've got the skills, we've got the systems, the input control, the performance output control, the problem solving when needed, because when this really happens, we do those problem solving things that you've heard me talk about quite a lot. Those three, they are all needed, right? And if you work with an infinite loop system, which is another pretty popular way to describe continuous improvement, you will see that the strategy and control, they sort of tend to be mixed together, or I've also seen it used quite a number of times where improve and control are the infinite loop, and the strategy loop is sort of something that enters from the top. Also fine. Honestly, I think make it like this, make it the cycles of excellence, but the concept will be the same. You want one cycles of excellence set or one infinite loop for your site. So even though you're going to check for a safety team, how are we doing? What can we do better? Right? Where are our performances? Which specific things do we want to improve? Which things are we not going to be touching this year, for instance? Right? Maybe they will improve slightly because the whole system just tends to move up when your controls improve, but we're not going to make the step changes. Those are strategic choices that you need to make. Also for your safety KPIs. Then improving on safety is a bit of a skill in its own. Now, it tends to use the same tools as basically the MAIC type of improvement tools, but you would like to train some safety champions to really understand the things you do. It's a bit the same as you want, especially in food type of environments, you want some microbiologists, because that is just, it's a specialty. The idea of improving will be the same. The content will be, specific for each sphere. And you have specific safety control systems, specific safety audit systems. And I understand all of that. But for your factory, there should be the one set of resources and control. So what safety decides should happen feeds into a discussion and a resource distribution with the whole site management team, together with what quality and technology decide on, what do we do with the process and the product, what maybe maintenance and a productivity-based team like production, they also bring to the table a nice mix of these are opportunities that we have, and these are the projects that we would like to do with our always limited improvement resources, the people that we have, the teams that we're going to run. And we also want to make shop floor performance control system, right? This whole performance control, most of it, productivity, quality, safety, maintenance, flow, needs to come from what happens in the actual process flow, right? The Gemba, so to say. So what you need in a traditional factory is that your production team, the production supervisors, team leader, production manager, that they manage, that they control most of the inputs and outputs. They should take care of all those man, material, method, machine inputs that create your productivity, your quality, your safety outputs. So you have only one control system. Now with improve, you can say, and strategy, you can say just let it work in silos, but you will damage your own effectiveness. So here, for the control part, you sort of need to make one system. For improve and strategy, you want to make one system also. So each of the pillars, work streams, or just managers in the site management team, they bring their analysis and expertise to the table, and then as one team, they organize all of this. Now the fun thing is, It also works the other way around. And now we're going to go a bit more into TPM, but when you don't implement TPM, you still have the concept behind it. So you want to organize it maybe as pillars. Maybe you work in an organization where pillar is a really nasty word that shall not be named anymore. I fully understand. In that case, just replace this with department managers, because that's basically one of the roles then. If you don't organize it in a work groups, work streams, pillars type of structure, you will do it through your management system. Each of those pillars, they need to do all three roles. So a pillar always has a bit of setting the analysis and planning the improvements. And they need to improve your organization's ability, and basically on each side, but also as a general organization, the ability to actually do the analysis, to do a good benchmarking, to do a good trend analysis, to have the data to begin with, right? The performance data, what did you do last year? What did you do yesterday? What did you see in trending and variations? And how are we going to spot opportunities and plan improvements from that? That is a skill you need to develop as an organization. And if you follow the TPM philosophy, you will have pillars develop that skill for you. You will also want to make sure that you have good ways to keep control over your current performance. So those you also want to have in each of your pillars. And I was already mixing here a little bit. You probably noticed the improve and control things. That too requires expertise that you want your pillars to build up. So each of the pillars, they are responsible for the entirety of the cycles of excellence, the strategy, the control, and the improve. The reason that I'm putting them in that order is because that's sort of the order the traditional pillars are built up, right? Each of the pillars, if you check their roots, they will have basically a system where you say first you want to know what your KPIs are and what you're going to work on, and make sure that you have a way to prioritize what you're doing. That is all strategy building. And then you will see that they tend to build up a control of current standards, an improvement of processes, and then often a sort of an additional control system. So that it starts to mix there. But if you're going into improvement without having even the most basic performance controls in place, you're going to be wasting your time, because the improvements that you do make, you will lose them quite quickly again. That's why the control comes a bit earlier than improve. But it is never this linear. It is always going to be a mix of building it up. Small side step. The main message here, when you have a pillar, a work stream, they on their own field need to make sure all of these are in place. That builds up your total house of excellence. That is also what they should bring to your organization. The tools, the skills, the people, so that you can analyze, spot opportunities, and keep tabs on what you're doing. The systems, the proper KPIs, the ways to capture the data, the ways to analyze the data, the knowledge of what to do to solve the problems for their field. And they will be the main improvement drivers. So what you will see in more of a Six Sigma or a Lean Six Sigma type of environment is that you will have green belts and black belts sort of coming from all of these pillars, and they will learn much the same techniques, but applied on different parts. Now, there are implementations that I've seen where each of the pillars have completely different improvement routes. I would advise against it, but do know that the tools that make up the route, they do tend to change. When you are looking at setups and you really are working into the productivity part, where it is about reducing routine stops, it is about single minute exchange of dice, SMAT, setup reduction. Those are a specific way of thinking in the analysis of the processes, in the analysis of how can we do the improvements that are different from a more product and material focused view that quality has, that are different from that very technical, how can we ensure the sort of the proper basic conditions and status of our equipment that the maintenance pillars will have. So the content of the routes are a bit different. The good thing is in the improve cycle, you will be able to manage any of those teams in the same way. Because of each team, you want to know who's the team, what are you specifically doing, how is the current process looking, what are you going to improve, did you improve it, did it work, right? And have you gotten the standards in place just to finish all 6 points of that cycle? So that means that as a management team, all of these, so as a site management team, all of these, they fit back into your one system. You make sure that you have one set of the cycles of excellence for your site. You make one strategy. You follow up on all of your improvement projects, and I would even say the continuous improvements or the non-investment projects together with the bigger capital expenditure investment project, the improvement project. You follow them all up in one meeting because it's all about, do you understand and then improve our performance, each of the project teams? And there has to be only one set of performance controls, because a performance control is always based around the process itself. So each process tends to have a productivity part, and a quality, and a maintenance, and a training, and a safety, and a flow, early management part around it, but they are all working on setting better input and performance standards for that process. But the process is owned by one team, right? The production team, the logistics team. So if you're talking about quality parameters of your production process, so how many defects did we make, did we produce nicely within specifications, what's the process capability, stuff like that, are typical quality pillar questions. You should not report them in the quality department meeting. Well, maybe you should, but definitely not exclusively. They should be discussed in the production meeting, but it's all about the operation. So the same way, all of these topics come together. Productivity is not the production pillar, but this is how much capability, how much capacity, do we have? How much can we produce and how many people do we need for it? But all of them are super important for good production. So that fits together. Now, the biggest problem, of course, comes when the priorities are at odds. And so when everything is sunny and wonderful, then of course you want to improve a bit of productivity, get your quality rates up, and all of the pillars will be working towards sort of the same goals, it would seem. They are not, because they have a different focus and analysis, but when everything's sort of nice, they move together. But as soon as you have too few people to do a lot of improvements, or your investment budget is limited, or you want to actually limit your KPIs to 7 or maybe 10 or so on that morning meeting board, what are you going to do? You don't have the management capacity to go and check all of the standards. Which standards are you going to check? Where are you going to put your improvement resources? So all of those priority questions, then it needs to come together. Now that coming together will only work if all of the pillars at the same time go through your strategy cycle. If all of your improvement planning and resource granting are organized together, are coordinated, so that tends to work a lot better if they're also timed at the same time. And when you have only the one set of performance control meetings. Yes, there are plenty of performance control meetings also in the maintenance and the quality and the safety departments, but the ones about your primary process should be just the one. You know this for performance control, but please do this also for your cycle of improvement and your cycle of strategy. And with that, you see that each and every pillar needs to work towards the one management system of a factory. And basically your factory management system, your improvement management system, revolves around those questions. Are we going to maintain current performance levels, maybe with a slight improvement or a step change? And where are we going to do those step changes specifically? Then can we actually do those step changes? show it, make it really work through improvement resources, and always be checking and maintaining that performance that you can make. Those are the three areas, the three management systems that you need within one big management system. All of the fields, they need to flow into that. So I hope that that gave you a bit of a feel of where your pillars should be working towards, and most importantly, that none of these pillars can completely set agendas. They have to go back to a steering committee, a management meeting, site management master plan, however you organize it. But going from strategy, even deploying the strategy, deciding what you're going to do, it's always a full team effort. And then you are going to move the needle for your factory. And I think even this is the only way that you are going to keep factories on board if you are in a global team. Think about that. Do not let any global department or global pillar decide what happens on a factory. They can give input to the factory's own master plan. Now, that little bombshell will be the end of this video. If you have any questions on it, do ask me in the comments. I love reacting to some of the comments that we get here. For now, I wish you the best of luck making sure that your site has only one set of their own management priorities, that they manage their own operations. And as always, don't forget to also enjoy the continuous improvement journey.